This is Marketplace from APM. I'm Kai Rizdal. It's easy enough to go to the store, be it for food, furniture, clothing, or almost anything, really, and not give much of a thought as to how all that stuff got to the shelves that you are standing there looking at. Fact of the matter is that the global economy is almost completely dependent on the oceans, on the millions of fishing boats and small cargo boats and big giant container ships that carry about 90% of all the world's goods. The problem, however, is that the high seas are among the most lawless places in the world. Crime, corruption, and more are rampant out there. Ian Urbina is an investigative reporter for the New York Times. His series about the oceans this week and the laws that are going on out there or not is called The Outlaw Ocean. Ian, it's good to have you with us.
Nice to be here.
Give me a sense, would you, of the infractions, I guess you would say, that go on out there that most of us really have no idea about, and that if happened on land would be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Yeah, so it's everything you can imagine. In the first story, we looked at one sort of poster child ship called the Donna Liberta, which was a ship that engaged in three especially egregious crimes. One was they caught two stowaways on board, two Tanzanians, and they were way out at sea when they discovered these guys, and they put them on a raft in the middle of the ocean and cut them loose as a storm approached and sort of just left them there to die. One of them did die. The other washed up on shore alive. The second category was, intentional dumping. It's a much bigger problem than I think most, certainly I realized. We know about the Valdez and BP spills, but, in a given year, far more oil is dumped intentionally. And then the third one is crew being abandoned in port, seafarers just being left by ships, and they have no way to get home, and they have no way of entering the country, so they're sort of stuck.
Back up for a minute. The intentional dumping, that was one of the things that blew my mind in this interview. Ships on the oceans today intentionally dump more than the Deepwater Horizon and the Exxon Valdez spill combined. In a like a 3-year period or something, right?
That's right. Yeah. If you have what's called a magic pipe, which is sort of a pipe that goes from your engine room down underwater, you just flush the stuff. And it's much cheaper than incinerating it or disposing of it legally. And then many of the jurisdictions involved have a incentive not to do anything in terms of enforcement. You've got, Bolivia and Mongolia, landlocked nations that have these lucrative flagging programs where they sell the right to fly their flag. And they are, under international law, supposed to be the ones that enforce the laws, but they don't have any interest or ability.
Okay, so if it's so bad out there, if crime, in essence, is rampant, and pollution goes unchecked and workers are abused, how come international commerce works as well as it does?
That's because a lot of it occurs on the big ships that you and I know of that we saw in movies like Captain Phillips, of which there are far fewer, but they carry a lot of cargo. And so the products, are on ships where these abuses don't tend to occur. But all the other ships, the fishing vessels that bring us seafood or pet food, or the cargo ships that bring us, gasoline, the fuel tankers, that whole realm of shipping has really awful abuses. And the abuses impact the crew or the seas, but they don't slow down commerce because no one's, enforcing it or noticing.
So there's this unwritten rule out there that mariners have to help a ship in distress, right? Is there an equal obligation to report breaking of the law out there?
So there's a duty. It's informal. It's been around sort of for centuries that if you see something, you should report it. But there's no enforcement mechanism to ensure that occurs. And that's why, in the second day story, we have a gruesome murder that occurred on camera. And the culprits, posed for selfies at the end, and they still haven't been brought to justice.
It's a series called The Outlaw Ocean in the New York Times. Installments 3 and 4 coming up later this week. Ian Urbina is the reporter who wrote it. Ian, thanks very much.
Thank you.